Anyway, Wave Rider detects Extant's presence at Vanishing Point and teleports there while things start going crazy in the modern era. Huge thunderstorms while cities from different time periods appear. Metron explains that alternate timelines, along with ones from the past and future, are merging with their own. Again, like the original Crisis. Wave Rider stabilizes those still alive in the JSA, but then Extant decides to reveal how much he's changed since he became Monarch, by pulling off his mask and revealing Wave Rider's face. It's a shocking revelation, but the explanation is pretty simple, if goofy. Basically, this is Extant from further in the story. At some point during it, he's going to merge with Wave Rider and take his power for his own. What are you after? Destroying every shred of reality is madness! Madness is not part of my agenda. My 13-point plan to destroy all of reality is completely sane. Look beyond the destruction. Consider the possibilities. We can finally fit that oversized couch we always wanted. Wave Rider and the JSA retreat to the past, where the heroes have figured out how to stop a futuristic city from colliding with New York and sending it back to the future, where it'll be eaten by the entropy wave. Good job, team! The JSA is reunited with the others, and they explain what happened, with the dead and wounded carried off, while Alan Scott makes a very out-of-character speech about how he's finished too. I'm saying we've been fooling ourselves for years. Extant might not have removed my restored youth, but he might as well have. He depowered my ring so easily. I can recharge it, but why? Yeah, really, why bother still trying to fight evil if you have to change out batteries? Uh-oh. Whoops, guys. Sorry, but my camera's running out of power. Guess I can't make videos anymore. Yeah, he and Jay Garrick leave, and this is utter bullcrap, but whatever. Wave Rider says that the entropy wave is in both the past and future, so they need to split up into two teams to try to stop it from both points. Of course, if it's eating up past time, that makes even less sense than going backwards from the future, but hey, why start making sense now? Anyway, the teams head off, the first going into the 30th century. They're confronted by the Team Titans. Yeah, again, going back to my Titans retrospective, the Team Titans were also from an alternate timeline, and it was revealed at the end of their solo book that Monarch was actually the one that had organized them, specifically for this purpose, to act as an army for his plan against the heroes, using communicators to mind control them. The Team Titans, save for Mirage, Terra 2, and the villain Deathwing, would end up being erased after 0 Hour, since those three weren't actually from an alternate timeline. After another totally necessary visit with Dr. Mist, we see in the hospital that Jay Garrick has realized that they would have had more of a fighting chance if the Spectre had been with them, so he goes off to find out what the hell his deal is. Meanwhile, Power Girl goes into labor. I guess a team stayed behind in the present in case any more cities try to collide with New York. This can't be normal labor! So painful! As opposed to the normally painless and relaxing process of labor. In the distant past, where and when? I don't know. It's some cliffs, and it says Earth's distant past. Might as well have just had it be some random desert in the present for all the difference it makes. The second group of heroes faces the entropy wave, and really have no idea how to stop it. Donna Troy suggests making Nightwing their strategist, but even he admits that they don't have enough information to put together any surefire plan. What the hell were you people even expecting to do here? Another group of Team Titans attacks, this one led directly by Extant, the past version. He blasts Wave Rider, who realizes they can't win with him there, and just teleports the heroes back to the present while he gets absorbed. As Extant now takes on the appearance of Wave Rider and teleports away, the entropy field soon envelops the Earth. A nearby figure finds Alan Scott's discarded Green Lantern ring, he had given it to Kyle Rayner earlier during his speech, and picks it up. Ah, a forgotten icon from a fallen hero. Better to take it as a trophy than to watch it vanish. I mean, you haven't even actually done anything yet, so I hesitate to even call it a participation trophy. In the future, they've devised a method they think will collapse the entropy field on itself, basically detonating Metron's Mobius chair into it with energy poured into it via Captain Atom. It works, and the entropy wave is stopped before the 30th century can be engulfed, and somehow this restores the stars in the sky? Whatever. Universe saved on one end, and the heroes are sent back to the present. Apparently the Team Titans were attacking the present too, but they disappear, their alternate timelines wiped out. At Vanishing Point, the past and present versions of Extant both arrive, and they merge. That is this book's solution to wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Just fuse things together. Continuity problems are just Play-Doh, guys. Shove it all together and it just works. Back in the 30th century, the figure who took the ring arrives again and uses his own power to restart the entropy wave. And then he drops the ring and crushes it under his foot. Couldn't let this just vanish. But no sense being reminded of a universe that will be no more. Well, now it's still going to vanish, but in tinier pieces. You make a lot of sense, dude. So that was the end of issue 3. With very few exceptions, most of the event comics I've talked about in Event Comics Month, despite some minor diversions that are meant to be explored in tie-in issues, have their own central narrative that explored in the main miniseries. There might be some time lapses between issues, but nothing too substantial that isn't explained within the book itself. And then here comes Zero Hour! Everyone was in New York before, and we were following the returning heroes, but now we open issue 4 with Supergirl, Guy Gardner, Steel, and Batgirl in California, where Coast City used to be, with things getting swallowed up by the entropy wave. What happened? Why are we in California now? Well, buy the tie-in issues and find out! I find it very ironic that the entire reason this event exists is to try to fix the sloppier parts of Crisis on Infinite Earths, while in turn being even sloppier and more confusing. And just to be clear, I do not hate this event. I'll be getting into the why of that soon, but I'd be lying to you if I told you it was a great one. Anyway, it's not actually the entropy wave that's destroying things now, but some kind of fissures are opening up all over the place and absorbing things, which happens to poor Steel. Extant observes this and is confused, since this wasn't his doing, but he ends up blasted by the other figure, saying that Extant was only taking advantage of something he started. The figure says that the fissures are being caused by an obstruction in the time stream, which we see as the time trapper from the start of the event having done something? I'm not sure. It's supposedly to save the Legion of Superheroes from the entropy wave, except we then see them get taken by it, so what the hell? Anyway, Time Trapper dead, and I guess New York is fine too, since we go back there now? Power Girl is still in labor, and instead of, having superhero doctors on hand to help. And don't tell me they don't exist! In the DC universe, superheroes have been around since the 40s. They've got to have some experts in the field by this point. We've got Captain Atom saying he can help because he helped with his wife's delivery, but Wonder Woman shoos him away. You're a soldier, Captain, better suited to dealing with the larger problems outside. I am more than capable of handling this natural event alone. You come from an island where you were the first new baby to exist on it in ages! Hell, you weren't even born in a regular pregnancy! I don't doubt that Wendy probably has learned and gained first-hand experience since she arrived in the larger world, but this just screams, only woman can help with pregnancy stuff, and we need to get Wonder Woman out of the way. Not that it matters much anyway. As the future starts being more and more eaten up by the entropy wave, both Impulse and Booster Gold disappear, since both are from the future. Except, isn't the past being eaten up too? Which includes the Earth in the past? How is anyone still around by this point? The entropy soon arrives in the present. We must stop this catastrophe now! Wait until we're organized. Well spoken, Hawkman. No, it isn't! The entropy wave is here! I think we can skip the roll call in minutes from the last meeting! Jay Garrick, meanwhile, finds the Spectre and berates him for not getting involved sooner, but he says he's finally gonna join the fight, especially since Jay Garrick himself soon disappears from time. Captain Atom and the Ray make a temporary safe zone from the entropy as Supergirl, Guy Gardner, and Batgirl show up. Metron uses his Mother Box to teleport some of the remaining heroes to Vanishing Point. While the Mother Box is capable of time travel, they need more precise capabilities than that if they want to confront Extant. They free 2 members of the Linear Men, captured earlier by Extant, which includes a guy named Matthew Ryder. Now, Matthew Ryder became Wave Rider in the alternate future from Armageddon 2001. And I guess he has a copy here, I don't know. Since the original Wave Rider is dead, they're gonna transform this Matthew Ryder into a new one so they can use his more precise time travel capability. Now, for those of you who have stuck around for the story so far, I know this is quite confusing, so allow me to sum up the event so far. Let creators have enough time and space to tell their stories! We get one final look on the JSA as Starman passes his cosmic rod to his sons David and Jack. This would lead into the excellent Starman series by James Robinson, which is probably another run I should do a retrospective on in the future, if only because it's one of those rare occasions where a creator asked a company not to screw with his characters once he was done with the book, and they actually agreed and stuck with it. Extant soon shows up in New York to attack the remaining heroes there, but their fight is soon interrupted by the arrival of the new Wave Rider. The rest of the heroes from Vanishing Point follow, with Superman attacking Extant, but then Supes himself is taken down by that mysterious figure, now revealed. Hal Jordan, aka Parallax, who now stands over an unconscious Superman. I've seen the universe from many different directions, and I know how to fix it, even if it means destroying it. But first, I teabag Superman. Green Arrow tries to get Hal to stop all this, but he says he's doing this because he's a hero. It's over. Your time is over. All time is over. This is 0 hour. Honestly, Hal, it's feeling more like Airplane. And so the entropy wave finishes consuming everything. Time for a new start. Clean slate. A remade universe. My universe. Who knows? Maybe one universe, one world, won't be enough. I like this idea, hinting at the return of the multiverse. Now, that would eventually happen post-Infinite Crisis, but consider this was only a decade after the original Crisis, and we've already seen most of the universe destroyed again, like in that story, so it's not unreasonable to assume that DC would be trying to call a do-over, have the multiverse again in the wake of the event, but no. We move on to the final issue with Hal monologuing to some of the heroes who had been at New York when he showed up. Guy Gardner, Batgirl, Triumph, and Alpha Centaurian. Why he kept them alive like this, I don't know, but here's where we start getting into why I actually like this story, despite the complete mess it has been so far. Parallax explains that his attempt to recreate Coast City after its destruction was thinking too small, that the universe itself is unfair and awful, and it needs someone to try it again. And he's gonna be the one to do it. And I'm not crazy at all. All I did was kill all life everywhere and in all time so I could remake the universe according to my own grand design. What's crazy about that? I'm the same man I always was, which is why I have the courage to make things right. Dude, you can't even keep your gloves on between panels. I'm not gonna trust you to do this correctly. Guy Gardner says he won't get away with this, but Triumph points out, well, they kind of have to let him get away with this. None of them have the power to recreate any universe. If they want to restore things, they need to let him proceed. Parallax, however, says he can do more than that. Batgirl and Alpha Centaurian come from alternate timelines after all. He can give everyone their own world if they so desire. He goes on to explain how he did all this, the energy he absorbed left over from the crisis, but that's not really important here. In the Infinite Crisis review, I talked about the idea of toxic nostalgia, this belief that one's own subjective feelings about the past supersede the future of others. Parallax's motivation is basically following similar lines, except instead of trying to create one perfect Earth, he's willing to grant everyone whatever they would see as their own ideal Earth, try to make everyone happy. Admittedly, there's something to that kind of desire. Unlike Superboy Prime, the Earth 2 Superman, and Alexander Luthor, Parallax is not trying to assume that his own version of perfection is best for everyone, and it's tempting to view Hal as capable of accomplishing this. After all, the kind of power he's wielding basically guarantees that he could do it. Now, this isn't exactly why I still like the story, but it's getting there. Parallax's motivations and goals are not necessarily evil here, but it required him to do a great amount of evil in order to get there. Anyway, Wave Rider managed to save the rest of the heroes and bring them to Vanishing Point, now including Damage of the Titans, because they need to promote his solo book, I guess. Anyway, Wave Rider's plan? Turn the universe off and on again? Well, to be more accurate, Parallax is beginning to recreate the universe according to his own design, so they need to step in and recreate the universe and let it play out naturally, since, you know, he's not exactly the most stable god to be doing this. And indeed, we see him working on crafting his new universe, talking about how, hell, let's have multiple Earths while we're at it. He can give the Justice Society one where they never age. He can give everyone back their own individual Earths if they want. While Guy Gardner is starting to come around a bit on this, he does wonder what the cost is of all this. And here's where we get to what I like about this book. I expect my metropolis, my world, to exist again as well. It's weird hearing that I don't belong, that I'm from an alternate timeline. But I have a life, feelings and memories, as real as any of you. All I want to do is live. Indulge me a moment here, my friends. The philosopher René Descartes attempted to discern truths about existence by shedding away all that he knew and, using only his mind, reason out truth. The first truth that he discerned was cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. The reasoning went that thought cannot exist independently of some form of self. So even if all of reality is an illusion, a trick played on a person by a demon, there is still a something that is being tricked. I think, therefore I am. A fiction writer is essentially a god to what they are making, granting life to the characters in a story. And if one thinks, therefore they are, doesn't that mean that the act of granting thoughts to characters, even if they're all crafted by the writer, also grants them life? Now let's not be stupid here. I'm not saying fictional creations are the same thing as flesh and blood people. That's dumb. I banned someone on my website's comments section years ago for accusing me of being a destroyer of worlds because I didn't want them literally posting their friggin' fanfics in a comment section when other places exist for that. But Batgirl's dialogue here really struck a chord with me when I first read this story. It got me thinking about stuff like Animal Man by Grant Morrison, and the ideas present there about fictional characters just wanting life, wanting their own existence, trying to appeal to God for more life. According to this miniseries, Batgirl and Alpha Centurion are anomalies. They're hiccups in the time stream, possibilities, not people. But as Batgirl says, she has a life. She has feelings and memories that are just as legitimate as any of the real people in the main timeline. She thinks, therefore she lives, and she has every right to life as the Barbara Gordon who got shot by the Joker. But she can't. One or the other has to go. This isn't like a clone thing. If there's only one timeline, there's only one Barbara Gordon, and there's only one way or another it can go. And that is the tragedy of Zero Hour, an emotional core that has been lacking for the rest of the events miniseries. And that's why Parallax's offer that he can indeed grant life to everyone, ensure that they all get their emotions and histories and thoughts validated. It's so appealing. And yet, wanting to stop him, you have to pause and think for a moment.
Are we the baddies?
Well, not from the perspective of the other heroes who soon arrive here in, wherever the hell this place is. How'd they even find them? Anyway, Superman attacks, saying that Hal has set himself up as a god who's killed billions. Over there can't take care of its own problems if over there doesn't exist anymore, Hal! Also, considering every second of existence for trillions of years have been erased, second by second, eon by eon, I think billions might actually be lowballing it. Parallax says that the deaths are offset by the amount he'll give life to instead.
I do not kill people. That is my least favorite thing to do.
Extant tells the heroes who had been with them that they have to help Parallax. They don't want to fight other heroes, but as Batgirl says, unless they help Parallax, she'll cease to exist. This is her only shot at survival. Triumph is more uncertain, but Guy Gardner's moral compass is rather uncomplicated. He isn't going to be on the same side as a douchebag like Extant, so he attacks. And hell, he has another good point. While Hal's ideas might sound good, if he's giving a villain like Extant a world to rule, then it can't be all that great. Parallax starts unleashing his power on the heroes, but the Spectre finally shows up to confront him. The blood of your victims screams for vengeance! Let justice shackle you! Well, look who it is! God's right hand of being late! While the Spectre distracts Parallax, Captain Atom, the Ray, Donna Troy, and Kyle Rayner will begin absorbing the energy of the universe that Hal was in the middle of creating. They'll then fire all the energy into Wave Rider, who's an energy-based life form now anyway, and in turn channel it into Damage, who will let it all loose once he has it all, and essentially start a new Big Bang. Meanwhile, Green Arrow finally tells Batgirl why this whole thing won't work. Parallax thinks he's a god, but he's not. He's already demonstrated a willingness to engage in hugely immoral acts under the assumption that he's right. You can't guarantee that the universe he'd create would be any better. It'd probably be worse, in fact, because it's predicated on someone who thinks the ends justify the means and is happy to grant evil people their desires too. Hell, if he spots what he views as imperfections in this new universe again, he may just do it all over again, kill all of time, and try to start over again and again and again. And it's not like he knows what everyone everywhere wants. He can't give everyone the world they want, with no guarantee that everyone he killed will be restored. And indeed, when Parallax is ready to kill damage to prevent him from starting the Big Bang, Batgirl jumps in the way and takes the hit, her last words being that she only wanted to live. And Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, when confronted with someone who loved life so much, wanted just so badly to live, but was so heroic to sacrifice herself to preserve the life of a more innocent person, decides to shoot an arrow in Hal Jordan's chest and kill him. And thus the universe is restarted. Wave Rider helped keep the rest of the heroes protected, but Batgirl and Alpha Centaurian disappear as time reassembles itself. It follows a more natural course than before, though of course to prevent those heroes who were present here from becoming time anomalies themselves, and to prevent history from repeating itself with Parallax, Wave Rider has to merge them with the new reality. It's mostly the same as before, with some minor changes here and there, like Guy Gardner's warrior armor now becoming, like, weird paint. Jay Garrick, who's here now I guess, wonders if this whole thing was just about death. However, Power Girl thinks differently. Nice thing about being a superpowered hero is that you can walk around after giving birth. This is the ultimate victory. Life! Power Girl's baby was the result of a cliched, mysterious, mystical pregnancy wherein her grandfather impregnated her without her consent or knowledge via a spell that took her DNA as well as that of a demon. Her son rapidly aged and was never heard from again. The ultimate victory! Unfortunately, Green Arrow is not feeling so great about all this. The loss of Batgirl, supposedly killing Hal, yeah, he's not happy. And so our comic ends with the promise that there are new mysteries unfolding, including that the Time Trapper now has long hair, so they're probably a woman now. Although the true ending is actually a timeline of the major events of the DC Universe, basically to show off the new canon timeline, with some stuff being set in stone for like the Justice Society's formation in 1940, while stuff like the Justice League's formation is around 10 years ago, and the future is more ambiguous and needs to be explored. 0 Hour is a mess. We're gonna have a lot worse events later this month, but it is clearly not DC at their A game. The artwork is fine, but not as polished as it should be. It's not carrying the weight of what should be a massive event where a reboot occurs. What hurts it so much is the story. It feels like it's trying to be like Crisis on Infinite Earths, with little showcases of the DC Universe and people reacting to the potential end of everything, except it doesn't work because with Crisis, it was a celebration of DC's entire history up to that point, so of course getting some nods into every corner was a good idea. Whereas here, it's just, oh hey, Highfather exists. Oh hey, Dr. Mist exists. It's just a waste of time in a story that feels like it's lacking a lot of time, ironically. The heroes gather, fail, and then the universe gets rebooted when they kinda sorta succeed in the end. Oh, and when they do meet, they squabble endlessly about getting organized. Seriously, I only joked about it once, but they mention the organizing thing like 3 times throughout, as if they're waiting for everyone to get name tags before they can proceed. Extant is a boring villain who requires Parallax to come in and be slightly more interesting. There are attempts at an emotional core, like with Wally West's supposed death, but of course Wally was still appearing in things and still doing things, so it feels hollow. And the massacre of the JSA was just crap. Not even a fight. Hell, it's hard to call any of the fights in this fight. It's maybe a few one-sided punches if you're lucky. As I've said, the whole thing just feels rushed, like it was originally meant to be 6 or 8 issues, but they needed to compress it down to 5. The final issue is the best one, finally having something of an emotional connection, if a meta one, that I really enjoyed and wanted to see more of. It makes me like the book much more than I probably should, because on its own, it's really not impressive. And yet 0 Hour did have its repercussions. Aside from having yet another designator of retcons, now post-0 Hour in addition to post-Crisis, Justice Society stuff would end up being affected by it. Not only the Starman series I mentioned earlier, but the fight with Extant would be revisited and eventually rescue our man from his fate in Jeff Johns' JSA book. Parallax did not die here as suggested, but would be back for another event, and that's something we'll talk about another day if it's ever voted for. Next time, it's over to Marvel as we dive into what they were doing to compete with Infinite Crisis at the time. House of M. The future remains largely unchronicled following the events of Zero Hour. Spoilers! The future really sucks!
Hello, my friends. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, and share it with others. And if you get a chance, maybe check out my Patreon.